Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Spittin Hoops. Very exciting episode. Miami took the win last night on the road in Denver. Anthony, you're the resident Celtics fan. You've seen the Miami Heat come back in games like that against your team a few times. How are you feeling? How's your day going? And how's your prediction feeling?
How we doing, Max? Crazy game last night. Miami really took it to Denver in the fourth quarter. That was something to watch. Lots of great stuff. We'll dive in about that for sure. Week's going good, man. I'm heading out to the Canary Islands in tomorrow. So looking forward to that for sure. For those who don't know, Canary Islands are in the Atlantic Ocean, off the coast of Morocco, part of Spain. So it should be beautiful. And as for the series prediction, Nuggets in 6. The Heat got to lose 2 games for that to happen. So far it's all right. But I mean, they look good. They definitely look good.
Yeah, so Anthony's taking a vacation to the Canary Islands, and I am on the other end starting a new job. So, you know,
Hey,
that'll be something. I'll have to enjoy it. But anyways, definitely gonna enjoy this podcast talking about basketball because we actually have a curveball for you guys. So obviously there's like some great NBA Finals games going on. We should definitely be diving into that as like a NBA podcast that covers current NBA topics. But Anthony and I instead got way too into a hypothetical draft of drafting all-time players from the Heat and the Nuggets, and we're kind of down this tunnel, and we want to draft right now. So we're just gonna get right to it.
let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So this is our second draft ever. If I remember correctly, our first draft was the like very good, like the Hall of Very Good players, like the players that hadn't made the Hall of Fame. Was that
Yes,
what it was?
correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for context, draft rules, we go kind of like serpentine. We usually go starting 5 and 6th man, and we're just kind of trying to come up with the best combo of like 6 players or starting 5 and a 6th man that could compete against each other and see who comes out with the better hypothetical draft. Obviously, this is not real, so we're just doing this to talk about like old players, like you know Fat Lever, if you're still alive and you see this, like, don't get offended we didn't draft you. Like, I don't know. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, Anthony, do you want to go first, or I don't remember if you went first on the last one.
Yeah. Who did go first? Let's check that real quick. We had a good draft on
Not
that.
not prepped enough, but we didn't
Was
see you
the
go first last time.
man who went first?
I
I
kind of
forget
I kind of feel like I might have. Kind of feel like I might have.
you might have gone first.
Yeah.
You might have, yeah. Okay, sure. So yeah, I mean, oh, man, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go first or second on this one though.
I'll go first if you want. I can
Okay.
take it away.
All right.
Um, okay, so drum roll, please.
Who are we gonna get?
First pick of the Spittin Hoops Miami Heat versus Denver Nuggets historical draft. I am taking
Ooh.
LeBron James. Uh, this is kind of sucks as a pick because I'd much rather pick Dwayne Wade, just for in terms like longevity and like all of the things he's done, in Miami. I think there are some players in Denver that also compete for this, but realistically, I just think LeBron 2012 to like 2014 LeBron is like potentially the best iteration of potentially the best player ever. Um, and he won 2 chips while doing it, which no player had done for either franchise. So yeah.
Yeah, can't really say I'm too surprised with that pick, Max. That's a pretty obvious and great pick.
Yeah.
And man, I think that's one of those ones where you don't really have another choice. So with the next choice that I have, so I got the next 2, right?
Yeah, you got the next 2.
So let's go. Not that the order even matters, but Jokic and Wade.
Okay. Jokic and Wade, that's
So
fair.
we'll do Jokic and Wade just for the sake of an explanation, I guess. Jokic, I actually had second, and Wade I had third, just because I think that if we're comparing peaks, Jokic's offensive output might rival or beat Dwayne Wade's. I obviously love Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's a better player, so I'm glad I don't really have to distinguish them too much and break down their careers. But Dwayne Wade, obviously, 3 chips, Finals MVP, universally regarded as one of the top 4, if not 3, best shooting guards of all time. Great two-way player. Not a great jump shooter, but that's one of the few flaws in his game. Got injured relatively frequently towards the later end of his career. They call him a flash because that was his prime. And
My God,
but
bro.
he was a fantastic player and taught LeBron how to win. So yeah, and then Jokic, another quick one. You know, just like Max was waxing poetically about the prospect of Nikola Jokic winning Finals MVP and what that would mean for his career legacy. I think the 2-time MVP and potentially Finals MVP Jokic is next, just because of what he's doing. So, and we've been talking about him for a while, so no explanation needed.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I had. I had Wade above Jokic, just I think he was more decorated. I think Jokic was probably the better offensive player, given he has 2 MVPs. Should have, could have, would have had a third one. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Also, we can designate positions at the end because, like, for example, me LeBron, I don't know if I want him at the point or the shooting guard yet, but yeah. With my next 2 picks, I think this is also pretty easy. I'm gonna go with Carmelo Anthony and Alex English. I kind of was debating between Jimmy and Alex English. That was kind of where I was at. I also think there's an argument for like Shaq, which now I'm just giving you ideas, so I should probably keep my mouth shut. But yeah, I think there's some arguments for a few players. I just think Melo and Alex English led probably two of the better Nugget teams, sorry, that ever existed. Alex English, I believe, is the top scorer in the 80s. Was that true?
Yeah, that's right.
Um, 8-time All-Star, 3-time All NBA player, which is more than Jimmy at this point, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that with Alex English. Both kind of small forwards / power forwards that kind of do a little bit of everything. But yeah, that's where I went with that. Also, Alex English first career average 25 a game, like pretty ridiculous.
Dude, unbelievable pull. Alex English was incredible. I mean, the big thing that stopped him from much playoff success was the Lakers. I think they
Yeah.
got bounced by the Lakers a bunch of times. So he was no scrub.
And I also think like if Jimmy Butler wins a chip this year, like I probably would rather have Jimmy Butler. So like, that's
Yeah,
also I'm just like assuming like right now, in this very
right,
moment in time. So yeah.
right. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, both great picks because you got a lot of scoring on your team. I guess I do too, but yeah, you got a lot of scoring. He was what, 3-time All Defense, Alex English?
He was 3-time All NBA. I don't think he was ever
Oh,
All
All NBA.
Defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
he's 3-time second team All NBA, and he was scoring champ in 83,
yeah,
84.
yeah,
So
one of those seasons. Yeah, I know he
yeah,
was,
yeah,
and he had I think 8 seasons of more than 25 point per game seasons, like
yeah. And then
individually.
And then Melo, I feel like we didn't really talk about Melo. Melo probably on the best Nugget teams outside of these ones ever. He was the best Nugget until Jokic came around.
Yeah.
2 Western Conference Finals appearances. He himself was spectacular on those teams. Never averaged under 20 a game. Um, I don't know, incredible player. So I that just kind of felt like I brushed over that a little bit, but there's also not much to say there. I feel like there was a pretty big gap between Melo and everyone above him in this kind of exercise and everyone under him, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
Um, so it's interesting. I not due to uh not thinking about Melo, but I actually put him eighth on my list. I think just that was
Oh,
the order I went in rather than like the so rethinking it, I might have changed it, but so obviously I'm gonna go with the recency bias, which is why I have this guy fifth on my list. But I'll take so um I have my playmaker Jokic. I have my shooting guard. I want another great defense shooting guard in Dwayne Wade. I want my small forward on my other wing to be a great defender. So I'm gonna take Jimmy. Um, two finals appearances at the moment, potential NBA champion, potential finals MVP, Larry Bird, Eastern Conference player trophy, which isn't nothing. 3-time All NBA with the Heat, 1-time All Defense, 2-time All Star. Even though that's kind of irrelevant, he could be 4-time. He isn't a 4-time All Star. So I'll take him, and then I will take Shaq to fill in as my second.
Yeah.
Um, so 3.5 seasons with the Heat because he got traded, 3-time All Star, second place MVP, finished once, 3-time All NBA, and a pretty good second best player on a chip team. So obviously he was past his prime at that point. He was not the same player, but he was still pretty damn good. So yeah, I'll go with those guys.
Yeah. No, I think great, fantastic pick. I think Shaq was so like amazing on the Heat, like in 04 and 05. I think he was like top 5, top 10 in MVP voting one of those years.
He was top
Um,
two.
stop really, he was top 2. There you go.
Lost to Steve Nash. He still talks about it.
Oh yes, yes, yes. That was his first year, second year in
Second,
Miami.
yeah, second year.
Yeah. But I think people like forget about that. Like him leaving the Lakers wasn't like the end of him being like a god tier player, right?
Yeah.
And then like yeah, Jimmy Butler again in this space for me at least on my list, there was like gap between him and the other guys. Um, I just kind of wanted guys who could shoot a little bit better, and I wanted to give Alex English a shout out. So
Yeah,
that's
I
how I went
love it.
there.
I love it.
So my next two picks, because I have thought about this, that I don't have much defense and I don't have much rebounding. And I kind of want some guys who are a little bit less of scorers. I'm gonna pick Alonzo Mourning, two-time defensive
Mm.
player of the year.
Ooh.
20 point per game scorer for pretty much 10 years. The first half of his career, obviously slowed down major by the early 2000s and mid 2000s, but spectacular player. And I think he'd be great just kind of in the middle, even though, to be honest, he couldn't really shoot. Like, it's fine. Neither could Shaq. It is what it is. And everyone else on my team is going to be able to shoot because I'm going to pick Chris Bosh. I tried to pick him in the last draft, and he was actually not valid. But in this draft, I think he fits perfectly for my team as like a stretch four. I'm basically running a team with LeBron at the 1, 2 like wing scorers with Alex English and Melo, and then I got Bosh who can shoot. That's the thing. People forget Bosh was like a great shooter.
Mhm.
He can rebound too. Play him at the 4 sometimes if I want to play him at the 5. Sub out Alonzo Mourning. I got some adjustments there, and yeah.
Okay, so that's your starting five. Damn. Chris Bosh, good pull. Damn, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even put him down. Um,
Damn.
but that's a great pull.
That's low key disrespectful, I feel
It
like.
is. It is. It is. I think I'm discounting his like his stats.
He
Uh,
didn't miss an all-star team once in
yeah,
Miami.
yeah. But I think I'm just kind of discounting like his stats versus Toronto. But
I,
that's
I
not.
feel like I feel like he might have been better than when he was with Toronto. Like by the end of his like career in Miami, he's just shooting like 37% from three off like 5 threes a game. And at that time, like that was like right before Steph.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, man. He was such a good player, and he retired at 32. Those Heat teams were still damn good. So it's definitely a piece of Heat history that kind of gets forgotten by most like NBA fans that the Heat could have really been an Eastern Conference team that could have, probably been nothing more than a team that challenged LeBron the way LeBron was going, but still like pretty tough.
yeah, I totally agree. I also think his like his time in Miami, he's like basically pushed to the side, but all of his efficiency numbers are as good, if not better, than what he was in Toronto, which also has to do with like, him playing next to those guys. But yeah. Um, so yeah, that's what I want for. You're up next. So you got one more here, and then I'll go one more. Or you got one more, then sixth man, and
Yeah,
then or what?
that's it. Yeah. I have
Okay.
four.
Yeah, 4. Okay.
And I'm thinking, this is tricky. Um, Okay, so I kind of have ball handlers already, and Jokic is a point guard, so effectively. So I'm not too worried about that. Him and Jimmy Butler know kind of how to cancel each other out right now. So imagine if they were playing together instead. Oh my Lord, can you imagine if they
That
played
would be so
together?
clean.
That
And
would
you'd
be
have Jimmy cutting off of Jokic, who's like has the ball at the top of the key. Oh my God.
that would be insane. Damn.
That would be beautiful.
Why couldn't the Nuggets have traded for Jimmy instead of the Heat? But that's a what if. Okay.
That's such a rogue what if.
Yeah. Such a specific one. All right. So am I drafting my fifth and then my bench, or am I drafting my fifth and then you can grab the six man and then I'll grab the six man?
Um, Drive your fifth and your sixth, and I'll get
Okay.
my sixth at the end. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I think the one thing I do really need still is shooting for sure. So I'm gonna actually go recent now. And I was stuck between these two, but I'll just go with Jamal Murray. Just because I think he's
Oh,
like lighting it up this playoffs, and he was amazing in the bubble. And I think when he's been healthy, he's been awesome. He's had a few kind of rocky games, but this element of my team will age. Will show its age very very soon in about 2 weeks. So we'll see how it goes. Um,
damn, bro.
in the playoffs as a Nugget in his 3 years as a Nugget. Um, Playoff player. 25, 5, 6, 91% free throw shooter in the playoffs. So pretty deadly.
That's fair. I feel like you just there's some major Glenn Rice disrespect, bro.
I was thinking of Glenn Rice, 19.5 and 38.6% from three in his seasons with the Heat.
He's basically like 42% from three in like the mid 90s, like scoring like 20 something, like 20 like one a game with Miami by the end. He
Yeah.
was better once he left though. Like like that's the issue is that Hornets Glenn Rice is like better.
Yeah.
But that I would have gone with Glenn Rice.
And he was in his time with the Heat a 38 percent um
Yeah.
3-point shooter, and Jamal Murray right now this year he's shooting 39, but for his like playoff career, I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's pretty.
I'm just comparing the eras. I feel
Yeah,
like I'm gonna give a lot of credit
dude.
uh Glenn
Yeah,
Rice for that.
yeah. I'm definitely more recency on this one, but I will
That's
say
fair.
something about Jamal Murray is that or no Glenn Rice is that he. I saw this tweet where the tweet was quote tweeting a stat demonstrating that Glenn Rice was the most recent player to hit 5 threes in NCAA playoff game or finals, I think, since Dante DiVincenzo, because DiVincenzo's having a crazy game in the finals. You remember that game? And
Yeah, I remember.
and they talk about how Glenn Rice was the most recent one before that. It was like 1991 or something like that. And then the quote tweet goes like 5 threes in 1991 is equivalent to 15 threes today. It's like crazy inflation. Some stat that's just ridiculous. It's 5 threes in like a 91 like college. So yeah, major respect to Glenn Rice. Not to snub him, but just going more recent. And then
That's fair.
my sixth one, I do honor the past here heavily, is a guy who you might think he liked, let's just say, Max, you might think he liked Denver because he liked to go skiing. So we're going to go here with the Skywalker, the Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan,
No
David
way.
Mo fucking, excuse my
I'm
French,
actually pissed. I'm actually pissed.
David Thompson.
I'm
What
actually pissed.
the poll, and this is why I asked you if we were going to go first or second, because that was going to determine this. But David Thompson, 7 seasons with Denver. In those, but 3 of them were just absolutely incredible. He was easily one of the top 3 players in the NBA. But an NBA All Star, but whatever, 3-time NBA All Star, 2-time first team All NBA. And he scored 73 points in a game. And I think it was in a game where the points, did he win points? I think he was the
He
points
was
leader.
going for scoring champ, right? And he got it or he missed it. even though he scored 73, David Robinson scored 70 to hold on to it, something like that, or was
Uh,
it
George Gervin.
George Gervin? David Robinson did it later against someone else. I forgot
Right.
but yeah, George Gervin,
Yes.
wrong
So
Spurs guy.
David Thompson had scored 73 earlier in the day, and George Gervin
And
did 59 to win the title, and he scored 63. So craziest
petty,
stuff. But yeah.
crazy petty.
So
Um,
that's my squad. Who's your
I'm
guy?
pissed. I really wanted David Thompson. I thought he was going to fit perfectly. He's going to be one small guy. And I had enough defense to kind of cover him. Uh, that's an amazing pull. I think you're going to appreciate this next pull of mine. This is a guy who was not really a winning player too much in Denver, but was a multi-time All-Star and scored 29 a game at his peak.
Oh, hit me
And
with
he
it.
shot 40% from three for his career.
Whoa.
Kiki Vandeweghe. The
Whoa.
legend, Kiki Vandeweghe. If y'all don't know, Kiki Vandeweghe was a New York Knicks legend, a Portland Trailblazer legend, a Denver Nuggets legend.
Mhm.
Big, like pretty big guy, small forward, power forward. He could shoot. He could take you to the basket. He could score 30 a game. Could he win important playoff games? No. But that's why he's my sixth man.
Man, yeah, he had a couple season like 26 a game, season 29 a game. Just part of that, like Denver Nuggets, 1980s. We're gonna score 135 points, but lose half of our games, or maybe not half.
Literally.
They won some games, but yeah, crazy offense. That's a great pull there. He was so good.
Yeah, for context, like he only played 4 years in Denver, and it was his first 4 years, and it was probably his 4 best years of his career, to be honest. He was a two-time All-Star in that time, peaked at 29 a game, which is like pretty ridiculous now that kind of think about it for that time. And then they got first rounded. Shout out Alex English, who I also have on my team. So yeah, probably gonna have a team full of chokers, but I feel
See.
like I feel like he was a really good fit for my situation. He can kind of space the floor, come off the bench, another scoring option, and pretty tall guy. So I don't really have any short guys. I feel like I can defend everything.
Yes. Let's see. I'm just putting your team next to mine. Wow, look at this. Okay, we have pretty good. So, is your point guard LeBron?
Yes, sir.
And then
And since
your
it's young Mello, just Mello at the shooting guard,
Melo at the shooting guard, and then your three.
Alex English, and then we'll go Bosch in the morning.
Gosh. Okay, and then I'm rocking with at the point. I'll take Yoke. Nah, yeah, at the point I'll take
I thought you got
Yoke.
Jamal. You got Jamal.
I may take Jamal. They can both play. They can do dribble handoff
Yeah,
shit.
because like Jokic a power forward is just Jokic on the perimeter, like
Yeah,
just like doing
right.
his thing.
So I'll take Jamal at the point, D Wade at the two, Jimmy at the three, just ridiculous wing defense. Jokic at the four, just having fun out there, and then Shaq just ragdolling Alonzo Mourning up and down
Just
the court.
absolutely slamming Alonzo
Yeah,
Mourning into the ground. Did you notice I didn't even pick another center? I was just like, it's just fact. I'm not going to be able to guard Shaq.
yeah.
I'm going to need to like score under 40.
I do
Um,
think though that Alonzo Mourning's like defensive peak could actually kind of hold up against Miami Shaq.
I do think it's the ideal version of a player kind of to hold up against Miami Shaq too. He also could score 20 a game, so he's not like just Ben Wallace where he's not
Yeah,
like making Shaq work on the other end.
right.
Especially like the early years of Miami Morning is just like two-way demon.
Yeah,
People forget. Like after
yeah.
he left like Charlotte, he was gross. But yeah, I like my team. I'm gonna take my team, bro. I'm sorry. I have to. I just think I got LeBron and Melo, and then I feel like I could. I feel like I gotta score you. I feel like my Alex English pick.
Mm.
I could argue Alex English at his peak was better than Jimmy Butler at his peak offensively. And
I could argue
defensively,
David Thompson at his peak was better than Alex English at his peak.
I could definitely argue Kiki Vandeweghe at his peak was better than David Thompson at his peak. Actually, no, I can't argue that. I can't argue.
I don't even know if you can argue he's better than Jamal Murray, dude.
Oh, I would totally argue Kiki Vandeweghe is better than Jamal Murray. If Jamal Murray retired today, no one, bro. Does he even have an All-Star appearance?
No, but who did you say kept choking in the playoffs? And who doesn't choke in the
Kiki
playoffs?
Vandeweghe. Guess who had one Western Conference Final appearance before this year and then proceeded to not play for like 2 straight years? It was Jamal Murray. Like, I
Okay,
don't want to disrespect the homie, but
you can't blame his injuries. Like he didn't play. When has he played? He's been amazing the last two postseasons he's played. Which
okay,
also the last Western every time he's been in the playoffs, he makes it to the Western Conference Finals when he's healthy.
okay. Jamal Murray it went in the playoffs for Denver, scores 25 a game on 50, 40, 90, right? Kiki Vandeweghe for and for Denver in the playoffs scored 25 a game on 50, 20, 90, but in the regular season he could shoot. And it was a different era, so I swear it would have been fine.
Different era.
No, but I personally I think I like Kiki Vandeweghe in this draft better than Jamal Murray because he's also taller and I will say I think Jamal Murray is underrated defensively in the current day. But I think Kiki Vandeweghe even in the playoffs that's probably about as good as Jamal Murray.
I think I have the slight mental edge with Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler, but you
Yeah,
have
that is true.
and so I think their leadership with Jokic as well, like and Shaq didn't take shit from anybody. So, but I mean, I think, but and I do think some of your guys just don't know them as mentally tough, like Melo, like Alex English had some bad luck, but
But I just feel like LeBron is gonna score 30.
that's the thing.
LeBron scored good average a triple double. And
Yeah.
also that LeBron's like Miami LeBron was the only version of LeBron that ever shot 40% from three in a season.
Yeah.
Like I think my spacing is also kind of nice. Although Jokic is a pretty good shooter. I don't know. Like I guess he can
Man,
space the floor.
it'll go seven. It'll go seven. I tell you that.
It would go 7. I
But
think it would be like do you remember the clip where like Kobe was it in the Western Conference Finals where Kobe lobbed it to Shaq and Shaq dunked it?
yeah,
It would be like that, but it'd be Jokic throwing it up. And then Alonzo Mourning's just
swatting it out there.
no, yeah, we'll say that. We'll say that. Or maybe Dwayne Wade's going up for the layup like Iguodala and blocked by James.
Oh, that'd be crazy. Dwayne Wade lobs it up to Shaq.
Yeah.
Dude, they got champion. I got two players with finals experience chemistry between themselves.
Okay, but I have 2 players with first round chemistry in the 1980s. And I got Melo who quit on the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, it's crazy that he called out for a trade. Like, bruh, you could have just gone as a free agent and had a better team with you. Okay.
All I'm saying, Chris Bosh would be tied for the most decorated player on your team. Actually, that's not true. Dwayne Wade literally won a chip without Chris Bosh. I'm tweaking.
And Shaq, bro. What? And Jokic.
Okay, but I think you're really underrating the championship pedigree of Alonzo Mourning. You know,
I feel, oh yeah, like all like
6 minutes a game.
Yeah, on the chip team. Bro, we're about to talk about your favorite player in the NBA that's not on the Warriors right now.
Who?
Jimmy Butler.
Oh, the good transition.
Good transition.
You did my job for me. Game 1, Denver wins by 10. Miami goes down early, obviously, but they kind of clawed the game back kind of halfway through. We see kind of a lot of the role players from Miami come down to earth. They're obviously playing on 2 days rest, so it is what it is. But you also got a pretty mid Jimmy Butler game in game 1. But then in game 2, the Heat come back with a classic Heat game where they hang around all game. Duncan Robinson says, "I got this," scores like 10 straight, and then the Heat just dead the game. And I just want to talk about something that I see the Heat do, and they always do this, and I love it. If they're up 8 with 4 minutes left, they're going to take 23 seconds to shoot the ball, and they almost don't even care the quality of shot they're going to get. They're like, if Jimmy Butler takes a contested mid-range jumper, that's good enough for me. And like, as someone who watches the Warriors who love taking early shot clock threes up 6 with 2 minutes left, and it like breaks your brain, Miami never does that. And it wins them so many games. Like we see in these playoffs, they're like, okay, we're up 8. We like if our shot at the end of a 24-second time waste has 30% chance of going in, that's probably worth it anyways. And they do that and they cut down the clock and they dead the game. That's what they did last night, and they won. And they deserve to win. I know the refs kind of missed a call on the Jamal Murray layup, but yeah, I thought Miami fair and square won that game.
So something you are describing is something that absolutely frustrates the heck out of me as a Celtics fan, which is essentially
Absolutely.
what the Celtics do when they're up by 8 with about 4 minutes to go is what you just described. They hold the ball and then they take a terrible shot. Now, if you're going to take a good shot, like Miami tends to do, actually, to their
Yes,
credit,
yeah,
like they develop
exactly.
a whole play, they then it's fine. Take advantage of the full 24, run down the clock, but play good offense. Celtics don't do that. The other thing that you're talking about is a little bit of something I believe might be happening with this Miami team, which is we call it divine intervention. There are a lot of things that it feels like different higher powers might be hoping for the Heat to win. Jamal Murray's obvious goaltend not being called one of them. Jimmy Butler, great play, drew a foul. That might be a little more ticky tack. The one crazy
The
one
Aaron Gordon one, the one where he banked it off the backboard, where Aaron Gordon hit him in the back. Is that the one you're talking about?
where he hit it like that little short floater, and then
Yeah. It was like, yeah,
like
that
I
was
mean,
pretty ticky tack.
it was a
Yeah.
foul, but like it's not though. But the one that was wildest to me was another one that had nothing to do with anything except for Bam Adebayo throwing such a terrible alley oop pass that it came
Oh, off the
right back
backboard
to
with 3 minutes left. I'm like, what are we
insane,
doing?
insane. And then they got the ball back, and I think it ended in a three. So
Yeah, it
um,
did.
it there was look, this is what Miami does. And it's only happened against them once, and that was the Celtics with a miracle. They know how to win these close games, and they just get it done. And there was no playoff Jimmy game yet, but there definitely was a playoff Jimmy fourth quarter where he hits a very tough three over who was guarding him. I think was it Aaron Gordon that was guarding. So he was, I forget who was on him, but he had a tough
Yeah.
three in the corner. And then he had that and one. And then he definitely facilitated on a few more plays to really close out the quarter.
And then there's also I thought the play that killed it completely was KCP fouling Kyle Lowry on a shot where Kyle Lowry shooting 5 feet behind the 3 point line, he bricks it. Like,
Yeah,
dude, like stuff like that is like you're
little,
just not gonna win. And it
yeah,
was a foul. I will say also on this thing, Kyle Lowry's jumps like a foot and a half forward at least when on those jumpers. If I was a defender, I'd be pissed. But if Kyle
yeah.
Lowry's standing 6 feet behind the 3 point line, he's about to shoot it. If he makes it, like so be it. Like like it's Kyle Lowry. I also thought that like you're right, it wasn't a vintage Jimmy Butler game, but it was vintage Jimmy Butler fourth quarter. It's like 4-14 going into the fourth, goes 3 for 5 the rest of the way, and they win. But the difference really was is that the bench in that stretch where Jimmy rested at the beginning of the fourth, the bench and kind of the remaining starters like Bam who were on the court played tremendously. I think Jimmy had the lowest plus minus of all the starters over the course of the game. He had a plus minus of like 0. And it was really like kind of having Duncan Robinson there helped out a lot. And then finally, I don't want to talk about this. The biggest adjustment, and I thought this was fascinating, was the 2-2-1 press. So what they would do is they kind of send Jimmy Butler and Caleb Martin up, and they kind of keep. So it was Lowry and Robinson for a while on the wings, kind of playing like a 2-3 zone once you get into the half court. But really, it was almost like Lowry and Duncan Robinson were like corner 3 point shooters, but like on defense, like they were like, dude, just stay in the corner, just stay at home because they know that they're basically like Jokic can go to get a 2 against Bam. That's fine. We just don't want a ball getting swung for a wide open corner 3. And I thought that was great game plan switch. You're also allowing someone like Duncan Robinson to stay on the court by doing that. And eventually they started attacking Duncan Robinson a little bit more. And immediately when that happened, Gabe Vincent came in. But then you have two guys who are 6'2" and 6'3", like on the court together, playing in an NBA Finals game and winning it. Like, again, god tier coaching by Spoelstra. Caleb Martin, although he didn't have a good offensive game, really, he hit his like first shot, like halfway through the fourth quarter. Defensively, he was tremendous. And I thought it was a great game. I love this series so much.
wild game. Something funny. When I was looking over the box score, and I don't know why this is just noteworthy. Highsmith in his 6 minutes in the game, I guess he just got unlucky. -17. So this was a game of runs, just back and forth. Miami started, and then Denver just blew the doors off them. Miami hung around, hung around, pushed it, and then Denver's up, and then Duncan Robinson goes off. Like you said, Gabe Vincent goes off. These guys were shooting the lights out. Overall, they shoot. What are they? Where? They shoot they shoot an unbelievable. Oh, here it is. 17 for 35. Kevin Love hits
That's
two
48% from three last night. Yeah.
Jimmy Butler hits two. Gabe Vincent hits four. Max Strus hits four. Duncan Robinson hits two. Kyle Lowry hits two. So that's five guys who hit 2 threes. Like that'll do it for you. That'll help you out.
And the starting group for the Heat they beat the Nuggets. Basically, everyone's like plus 20 on the starting. It's not like the Celtics series where it's like the bench is doing the work. If anything, the Nuggets bench looked great. You had like what's his face? Who's that rookie that I'm blanking out on his name?
Oh, Christian Braun.
Christian Braun, some good minutes out of him too. I also could not believe they were guarding him on the 3-point line. That was the thing that was breaking my brain, is that like Max Strus was like clinging onto him like he was about to like score a three. I'm like, dude, let Christian Braun shoot. Like if he makes a few, okay, then guard him. But it's like it's a rookie coming in and they just like guard him at 3-point line. He cut twice, had a dunk, and like the momentum shifted. I'm like, come on, man. But you're right. It was a game of runs. Haywood Highsmith, unfortunately, was on the court for like 6 minutes where Cody Zeller got absolutely destroyed by Nikola Jokic and they had to like sub him out. And it was like a nightmare scenario. But like, yeah, I was very, very impressed by the Heat. I was also very impressed by Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is such a winning player, man. I don't know. I think he's also overrated. Like if he's your third best player, like he might be on paper here, he's probably a little overrated. But I mean, he's not even starting, right? He's just such a good glue guy, and dude, he makes 2 shots last night, and they felt like massive shots. I felt like he had a massive impact, and with 3 minutes left, it was him out there. In last series, he didn't play at all, and like in the crunch time. So I don't know. I have a lot of respect for Kyle Lowry.
Yeah. He played out of his mind. The Heat are playing well. On the other side of this game, Jokic turns into a 40-point score. Great offensive individual game. Not the game he wants to play. They know that that's not the game he wants to play. I think he's 0-3 in games where he scores 40 or more in the last couple of postseasons or this postseason.
Nuggets are 3-7 this season where if he has less than 5 assists.
Right. So yeah, the 4 assists. I do think he had more than 4 assist worthy passes.
Exactly. So, yeah.
But that's just a bit indicative of kind of where they were at. And like you were saying, a lot of the adjustments that they had, especially like Kevin Love starting in the lineup, going up against 2 6'10" guys in Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. To kind of help with that size, even though with Michael Porter Jr., let's be honest, he wasn't a very, very helpful factor. I mean, no assists, shoots 2 of 8, 1 from 6 from 3. That's really not going to get it done. They were lauding his defense a little bit, and I think one of the bigger stories on Denver's side was they just could not play defense in the fourth quarter, and that's how Miami came back. 111 is not a crazy scoring game. 36 points in the fourth quarter is an amazing scoring game, and they were efficient. And it has a lot to do with as well how good Miami was playing. Denver also was not communicating very well. They were starting to get a little bit tight. I think this is the first time I've noticed that Denver's been a little bit tighter than I would have expected. Against the Lakers, they look completely comfortable in crunch time. And that's something that the Heat really make teams do. They make them feel uncomfortable.
And I think this is kind of this is an issue with teams where your big man is your best player. Is that like if again, we talked about this, if he's got to score all the 2s, it's just more difficult than if your best players making 3s, mathematically. And so last night, although Jokic is like a great distributor and he's distributing, when Bruce Brown's going 1 of 3, when KCP's 1 of 4, and Michael Porter Jr. is 1 of 6, Jokic is coming up for the pass, and he's like, I don't know if you're gonna make it, like so maybe he's
Mhm.
bringing it down one more time. It's also like I didn't feel like the Heat they weren't doubling him a lot more. They weren't necessarily switching up the game plan completely there. But I thought they almost stayed at home on the shooters, just like they sold out, like stayed at home. And then once a few shots missed, they're like, okay, we don't trust these shooters to create their own offense. Duncan Robinson can play the whole fourth quarter. We don't
Yeah.
trust you guys to attack Duncan Robinson because Jokic is not going to be the one to attack Duncan Robinson. He's just the 7 foot guy posting up Bam Adebayo. But like that's what I thought was very interesting. I don't really anticipate these guys on Denver shoot this poorly again. I mean, Jamal Murray is also like 3 for 8 last night. Jokic himself was 2 for 5 from three. Jamal Murray 3 for 8 from three. Um, but I did think it was interesting that Christian Braun got as many minutes as Jeff Green. I like the idea of pulling into your bench more if I'm Denver. The KCP minutes were bad yesterday. They were bad. So the,
Sorry.
no, you're good. The KCP minutes were bad last night, right? So like I would just if I'm Denver, why not try to find different aspects? Like Christian Braun can play in the series. You just found this out. That's great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if they can, Bruce Brown played decent number of minutes, but I don't think his minutes were as timely. I thought he was really really impactful. He's been amazing for them the whole postseason, and I don't think he got quite enough playing time at the right time. So there's adjustments that both teams are going to keep making. Michael Malone had said this in the first game. After the first game, they were 5 of 16. Miami was on wide open 3-pointers. He said,
Mm-hmm.
"Look at how they're shooting. Let's forget about the regular season. Let's look at their postseason stats." And they're shooting unbelievable in the postseason. I believe higher over 40% in 2 of the 3 series, the one not being against the Knicks, but they could beat the Knicks in other ways.
Yep.
And so he's saying, hey, hold up. They're not going to shoot 5 of 16 wide open every most times. They're probably going to shoot 50%. They might shoot better than 50%. You take that 5, you make it 9, let's say, of 16, which they can very, very capably and easily do. That's an extra 12 points. Miami's up 2-0. So they're gonna have to be able to figure out how to guard these wide open threes.
I agree. I think this was my thing with picking Miami is I just felt like there are too many offensive options at some point, and like I like the guys on Denver, but like, dude, Christian Braun shooting 22% from three in the playoffs this year. It's like, God, you're gonna let him shoot. If Jeff Green's gonna beat him, you're gonna let him shoot. But guess what? We've seen Caleb Martin beat people. Like we saw him win a series last series. Basically, I trust all the. This goes back to the prediction at the beginning of the series. Like you said, it's like it just comes down to like Jokic needs to be by far the best player in the series, and he has been by far the best player in the series already. And I felt pretty good with my Heat pick, which makes me feel even better about my Heat pick. Um, I do think the teams probably split the next 2 games again, and we go into like a crazy game 5 in Denver. But I don't know.
The one thing is Michael Malone is not Joe Mazzulla, and so
Of
he's
course,
he's going to come out with some adjustments that I think Denver played very, very and to Miami's credit, Denver wasn't able to adjust to what Miami was doing. And I think for how badly they played, they were a Jamal Murray 3 rim out from OT, and then who knows what can happen. So
of
that
course.
that also, I think things really do need to work out for Miami. We talked about all the things that I think happened for them in the fourth quarter. Not to discount the fact that they are an amazing fourth quarter performing team. I think that if I'm looking at Denver, I'm very frustrated, but I'm not worried. Like the
Yeah,
Celtics, I'm worried. I'm worried already because I think the Heat have their mojo. They're like, oh, we can take these guys any day of the week. I think the Heat know that they can take these guys any day of the week. I don't think Denver is freaking out that like the Heat have some psychological advantage over them and they're screwed or anything like that. So we'll see. We have Wednesday to kind of prove what happens, but that I feel fine about Nuggets in 6, just as well as I think you feel about Miami in 7.
that's totally fair. another aspect to talk about the Miami slash Denver thing, is that like Michael Porter Jr. has been horrible in the series. If you think he's going to regress to the mean, you feel good about it. If you're Denver, if you're Miami, you're like, oh, dude, we got him. I do think still haven't seen like we've seen good stretches from Aaron Gordon. If at any point in the series Aaron Gordon has like a 24-point game, like the series is over. Like Denver's gonna win. Like stuff like that, I think is still like on the cards, right? But if we're just looking at pure adjustments, I still think Miami has more things to play with. I mean, they still haven't done much Kevin Love at the five by himself. We saw it like a tiny bit last night after the nightmare Cody Zeller minutes, but I would love to see that a little bit more. I did want to mention this. This is something I've been thinking about. Although the final starting June 1st was like sorry, oh my God. Although the finals starting June 1st was like probably positive for the Nuggets in terms of rest, like these games all have like 3 days in between. And I think that's super beneficial for Miami actually on the other side. If it was like the traditional like one game, one rest day, one game, and then 2 days for travel, I think Denver would be at a way bigger advantage. I don't know why they do this. I don't know why it's not like a little bit more consistent. I understand, they start some of the series when some of those series before or like finish on game sevens and things like that. But like, I really feel like the setup, like in terms of scheduling, really is an advantage for Miami, especially when they like Bam Adebayo needs to be playing 40 minutes a night. Like those 3 days in between games is nice.
Mm. It'll help them, especially now that we know that there's multiple travels probably going to happen. Like so,
Yeah. Yeah,
those
exactly.
are going to be huge. There's a lot to this series. It's definitely one of the wildest series in a while
Yeah.
covered. I think like the Celtics Warriors was obviously very very compelling, and we love both of those teams a lot. They weren't that random. Like kind of like the Bucks and the Suns the year before were. That was kind of like that kind of came out of not what everybody
Yeah.
was thinking. And this is
Yeah.
another one, but on steroids.
Well, because also the Suns Bucks series, and I mean, who knows? Maybe Denver wins the next three, and we just don't say anything, right? But the Nuggets Sun series, the Nuggets Bucks series, the Suns Bucks series, holy crap! The Suns Bucks series, it kind of felt like once the Bucks figured it out, like it was like there were some competitive games, but that it was what it was. Warriors Boston, after Game 4, to kind of get like a eerie feeling, like
Mhm.
that the Warriors might win, like a little looming feeling. Um, uh, I don't know. I think this series is fantastic, dude. I love this. All the adjustments, dude. We've got a team in the finals that is pressing with like 7 minutes left. Like this is fantastic. I've never, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've really never seen a team buy in so much that Jimmy Butler, their best player, is pressing to the other team's free throw line just to be annoying. Because these aren't this press isn't even just to like cause turnovers. It's not causing turnovers. But if you take 8 seconds to bring the ball up, you only got 16 seconds to take a shot, and that's 8 seconds that like we're closer to winning. I think it's such like the game theory of basketball, they are playing like it's such high IQ basketball. It's like literally if you took like Spoelstra and threw him on the Celtics, bro, I feel like that team would never lose. And you'd have to switch like Jimmy Butler and Jaylen Brown or something like that, right? But like to be fair, but like I feel like that team would like never lose.
Oh yeah, it's a masterclass. They're figuring out every single possible thing that they can do to say we might not match up on paper on talent. We are going to figure out every single thing that we can do to get every half a percentage throughout the whole game, and we'll come out on top if we can get enough of those.
Yeah. And this wasn't even the team that really started off the year, bro. Like they had Dwayne Dedman on the team and they had like random two-way guys coming in and not playing. And Duncan Robinson got benched. And I don't know. It's incredible. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra deserve so much credit. Uh,
So we have one team who you just described who had to scratch and claw their way back into honestly the play-in conversation for much of the year before finally getting into a playing game and then losing in, for me, thank goodness type fashion. And then down 9 or 10 against the Bulls, their season almost over in that second playing game. They come back, they win, they go on a roll, they got hot. Versus a team that has been the number one seed for the entire season, pretty much, then kind of, gets a little bit complacent at the end of the year. And then they just pick up right back where they left off and just rattle off wins against these teams in the Western Conference. Not that, comparisons between the quality of the competition aside,
Yeah.
they played amazing. So it's two teams that have, for the most part, been firing on all cylinders. It's amazing to see, because I still think Jokic can figure something out. Like he's
Yeah.
not going back, going, shoot, like they figured me out, I'm done for. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of great stuff that happens in Miami for this game 3, brother.
No, I totally agree. And like it's just like you're saying, it's probably the team that's been the best team over the course of the year versus like the clear peaking playoff team. It's just like a cool, really cool concept.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With that, I think we can move along to a team that didn't either peak in the playoffs or in the regular season, the Phoenix Suns, who hired Frank Vogel, former NBA champion coach in the bubble. Um, I think this was a great hire. They're bringing him in. He's going to be now the coach for KD and D Book. I am very excited. I think this is a great hire. And I don't, not a Sun supporter, but I think Frank Vogel's gotten like the short and the stick. I really thought he figured out all the rotations and the role players, as much as it was difficult on those Lakers teams at times. Like he played Rondo 25 minutes a game when Rondo was like pretty washed and they figured it out. And Rondo was good at that. So I think this is a good fit. It's a defensive minded coach too, which I think is good, but also might be bad for the fluidity of the offense. We'll have to see. And Chris Paul has a partial guarantee in his contract coming up. We'll see what happens. So
Let's talk comparisons. The bubble Lakers, 50 and like 12 before the season stopped. The entire regular and postseason never gave up a third quarter lead. Hung their hat on defensive prowess. Devin Booker's starting to get there a little bit, I think. Kevin Durant is always a solid defender. I mean, he's older now, so maybe not quite the guy he was in Golden State, but still good defender. Let's talk about what you had said with the seemingly devoid bench. This Lakers team's bench flourished in the postseason, and they kind of, all their guys were kind of right there. So now we look over at Phoenix. You got your two studs. You got your younger protege coming up with the elder statesman. Then you have guys around that either are hurt or are getting older or aren't playing up to their standards, or a bunch of guys who they need to find new homes, and you got to bring in some new guys. So in terms of the talent, in terms of the potential for the Phoenix Suns, I don't think you or I ever went against them in terms of like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker aren't good enough or anything like that. It was ancillary pieces. We had no problem with Monty Williams as the coach. He's a great coach. And Frank Vogel, to what you're saying, is will bring some defensive intensity that they just didn't have this season. And it's a great move for sure.
Yeah, and I imagine when Monty was fired, you don't do that without asking D-Book, I hope, or like having some sort of conversation with D-Book, I would hope. If not, that's already crazy. But if they were like, yeah, if D-Book's like, I'd like to keep Monty, but if you guys feel like something's better, like, make it happen. If someone tells me we're bringing in Frank Vogel, I'd be pretty happy. And it's not like this is ruining the continuity of the team. It's not like a situation where like Mark Jackson gets fired for Steve Kerr with a team that's been like continuously getting better. This team got put together 3 months ago, and I'll probably get rearranged again. That said, what's going to happen is if they finish 7th in the Western Conference, which is possible, dude. It's like the Suns hypothetically could finish like 7th in the Western Conference next year. You'd get fired. Which is a little, situationally, like, love to see what happens. But if I'm Vogel, like, I just took the Lakers job, got off that, probably is like just horrible situation to be a coach. I don't know if this is that much better. Like, your expectations are the ceiling off the rip.
Man. All right. Well, folks, you heard it here first that if this comes true, Max is a Nostradamus in terms of the seven. I mean, because it could happen. Yeah.
It really could.
How quickly coaches get fired, with how good the Western Conference, or how competitive the Western Conference is going to be next year. There's nothing that stands to reason with everything that's going on with the Grizzlies, with everything that's going on with the Timberwolves, with the Mavericks probably figuring out some things over the offseason, with the who knows what the Spurs are going to do, with the Warriors are going
The
to be right
Warriors,
there.
the Thunder.
The Lakers are probably going to be figuring something out. The Thunder. There are so many teams headed for 46 wins, just like last season. So
Exactly.
if if the Suns kind of flounder, they could be a 7 seed.
Someone's
Easily.
got to miss the playoffs.
Right.
Like there's just got to be. There's 12 teams right now that compete for the Western Conference like playoffs every year, pretty much. And usually it's Portland who's bailing everyone out by missing. But um,
Thank
shout
goodness for that.
shout out Dame. But
Dame,
yeah,
shout out,
but
shout real quick, shout out to my buddy. I'll leave him nameless for now, who I had a bet with to start last season, where he said that Portland would be in the playoffs as in a seeded series playoffs. We recently doubled up on the bet. He said double or nothing, so we've doubled up, and I
for next
am
year.
knocking on wood that they don't make some sort of trade that lands them a Siakam and maybe they sneak in as an 8, because it's possible. I think it's more likely that they go in the other direction, because I don't think anybody there really wants to waste their time with a 1 seed exit, and I don't want to lose that money. So come on, Portland, do the right thing.
I would if they made a playoff series, if Portland was a top 6 seed in the West next year, I'd be shocked. I'd be like absolutely shocked.
They just got to be top 8.
Yeah, but like you think they're gonna win a playing game? Like
But they could, yeah. But
they could. I don't want to roast them too much. I'll give them a little bit of credit. Another coaching situation is that the Suns coach. Actually, you brought me up being a Nostradamus, and we need to give you credit for being a Nostradamus. When Monty Williams was fired by the aforementioned Phoenix Suns, we both roasted the move, and then you quickly pointed out that he might be a great fit in Detroit. Two young guards, they're building an offensive system, etc. And Monty Williams, $13 million a year contract with the Detroit Pistons. It can balloon up to $100 million with incentives, but I assume like that's like NBA Finals incentives and stuff like that. So that's a little ridiculous, but he got the bag. He definitely had the craziest severance package from the Suns, and he was like, "Bro, I'm gonna need crazy money to come."
oh, absolutely. I saw, oh, man, I'd seen some something where that Monty Williams hire really will be resetting the market. Thinking about,
Oh, him and Nick Nurse's contracts. I mean, I don't know what the Nick Nurse contract is. I'm sure none of us will actually know because he probably got a crazy bag too. But dude, these coaches are gonna get paid basically base 15 million. If you're a top 10 coach, you're gonna get that sort of contract.
oh yeah, easily. I had seen something. Oh yeah, Woj was talking about how Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, maybe Nick Nurse, maybe not quite Nick Nurse, just because I don't know, he's not on that level, but they could get 20 mil a year.
Well, Steve Kerr is sitting pretty because his contract expires at the end of the year. So he's
Yes,
also
sir.
not even like
Yep.
other teams won't like, dude, he can go shopping. He can do whatever. And also Steve Kerr also has the unique side where he's been a part of an ownership group, been a GM, been a coach. He could do whatever. He's kind of like Bob Myers. He could do whatever and probably make as much money. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's gonna reset. Dude, Eric Spoelstra is gonna be making 30 million in like 2 years, bro. I swear.
Well, his contract is also up this year, so he's probably going to resign for.
Oh, dude.
So,
It's gonna be a lifetime deal. He's gonna get the Pat Riley contract, dude. Pat
oh
Riley's gonna literally be like, yo, like just when I die, just pull up and be a GM and then like
yeah,
continue the cycle.
take my spot. Yeah.
Crazy that Eric Spoelstra, that Pat Riley basically found his like guy, and like Eric Spoelstra started as like a video coordinator, just like cutting up clips for the Heat. It's like,
Oh, it's incredible. I think regardless of how this series goes, and especially if they win it, we got to have some sort of like tribute section of the
Oh
pod.
yeah, absolutely. Because and honestly, we've had basically a tribute section of every pod that we've talked about him, but it's like still not enough. Like I literally can't believe when I'm watching that head coaching wise. And it again shows you the influence of a head coach on a basketball team can be immense, especially in a sport where there's only five guys on the field, you know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So I think it's fantastic. Last little point,
yeah.
unless you had something
I did have
coaching.
something. But, oh wait, what was yours?
Oh, it's a conversation change.
Oh,
Hidden one.
okay. I think that something as a Celtics fan, what I've noticed is there's the there's the basketball IQ aspect of it. There's the can you get to your team aspect of it, and then there's the who are you as a man or a woman, but in the NBA right now, man. Um, what's your integrity? So I look at a guy like Missoula. I think he hasn't quite won over the locker room, and he's young, he's 34, so he's still trying to figure out those X's and O's. Doesn't have it. Brad Stevens had the X's and O's down to a T. Couldn't great human being, couldn't really connect with the locker room. Ime Udoka was able to finally get through the locker room a little bit. Great X's and O's. We don't know too much about sort of what went on with that ethics part. Eric
Oh
Spoelstra.
yeah, we do.
Well,
He was being
I mean,
weird to a female staffer and cheating on
weird,
his
weird
wife.
to female staff. Don't
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know all the details, but I know that it was inappropriate and like
Mhm.
ethically
Yeah.
ridiculous issue. Never seen that from Steve Kerr. Never seen that from Eric Spoelstra. And those are the kind of coaches that have those X and O's creating to the players, great people that just really help establish and firm up a culture. And man, they got them. So yeah, shout out
Yeah.
to those.
I agree. And I like just a small note, obviously, like this is not in a vacuum for everyone. Obviously, situation's always a thing. Maybe in a different world, if Brad Stevens had been handed the Warriors team, he'd be,
Sure.
in a team environment where you use Steph Curry instead of Kyrie, probably easier to win over the locker room. But like, I just wanted to preface that, I guess. I definitely do agree with your point
Yeah.
though. And you Steve Kerr
Context.
gas.
Context
Uh
context has to help as well. Yeah.
yeah, of course. Last thing is just a small report that came out today. We're on Wemby Watch 2023. At least this is going to be a recurring segment I've decided as of 2 seconds ago. uh, Victor Wembanyama will probably not play in the summer league. His team was in the finals of the French league, which he's been dominating. He won regular season MVP. Their team was kind of mid in the regular season, and he's been turning up. They have another guy on their team called Bilal Coulibaly, who's also looking like he's going to go top 15 in the draft, top 20 in the draft. Like just based off of he's scoring like 25 a game. Like him and Wembanyama are both scoring like 25 a game in these French league playoffs, just like dunking on kids, right? And they're not kids, actually, they're 35-year-olds, the people they're dunking on. So and they're also beating teams that play like EuroLeague level basketball. So that's exciting to me. And if I was him, I would not touch the summer league. Get ready for your first game in Sacramento, buddy.
Yeah. Get ready to learn how to speak Sacramentan, buddy.
No, I think that's who they're playing on game one of this year.
I thought that was their summer league rival. It also might be their regular season.
Oh, really? Maybe,
Let's see.
then I must have misread the
I think
headline.
before I didn't see the report that you just brought up, so that's breaking news to me.
Breaking news.
I thought I'd seen something about he was going to be playing in Sacramento, so I didn't know if I didn't read. I thought that was, but it. I assume what you're saying is the case, and I think that's fine because he's going to be playing with Trey Jones. Ain't playing in the summer league.
Wembanyama better not touch the summer league, bro. Are you kidding me? If he got hurt playing against some sort of like D2 guy who's trying to like try too hard, bro.
Bro, not at all. I mean, and the core guys aren't going to be playing either. Keldon Johnson's not going to be playing.
Devin Vassell's not playing.
Vassell's not playing, and Sochan's not playing. So that he's going to be starting with the guys that are going to be playing anyways.
Dude, Jeremy Sochan would average a triple double and 8 blocks every night in the summer league, bro. That dude's crazy.
They got any team.
Dude, they got some, bro. Tell me the Spurs don't look kind of clean because they also got some money to spend, bro. I'm telling you, if they made the playoffs next year, I would like not be surprised.
Hey,
That's actually a play-in. A playoffs is crazy. A play-in.
hey, all I'm gonna say is I think this might have been our first or second pod.
Yep.
I had some Wemby take, and bro, this could be crazy.
You said what? They make the playoffs in their first 2 years?
I
Like
said
no
that
matter, you said no matter what team he gets drafted to?
they'll be a finals contender in his by his second or third season. I forget.
Yeah, you're I mean, you also,
Final.
yeah, you've been telling me this also for like longer than we've had the podcast, to be honest. And like, yeah, you're gonna be right. You're gonna be right. He is different gravy. He also has not missed a game in the French league for
Looks
the whole
healthy.
time he's been a professional.
He looks good. When he was
I
when he was back here playing against Scoot Henderson, and he was playing with guys, with the likes of Steve Hoyufat and other
Yeah.
amazing French 92 players, like bro, he lit the league up. Luca,
And
yeah, yeah,
this Ignite team is gonna have 3 first rounders minimum. Like they've got this guy City Sissoko. I forget. They have another guy who's really nice. I'm blanking out. They've got Mojave King, who's really good. 3 and D guy who's gonna go late first round, early second round, and then Scoot Henderson, who if he doesn't go second overall, there's gonna be there's gonna be
yeah,
problems.
yeah. So, whew, yeah, we'll definitely do some. We'll. I think I know myself. I need to work on my college guys. So brush up on that once the men are done playing in the finals.
You got that right. But yeah, with that, that's kind of all I think we wanted to talk about. Also just wanted to shout out, thanks for all the support lately. A lot of our breakout videos and like whatnot have like been doing pretty well, so we appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Love you.
What's up? But
God's blessing the
okay,
Heat right now.
Jimmy is blessing. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of all we had. I think hopefully you'll see us after game 4. Our schedule might be a little tough coming up this week. Maybe we'll have something up, I think, over the weekend. But yeah.
All right. Well, peace, y'all. And next time we release our video, you'll see us. Until then, we'll just be here spitting hoops.
See y'all next time.